So I'm just back from Dortmund, Germany, where the Sim Racing Expo was held this weekend, and I got to try Assetto Corsa EVO. So Assetto Corsa EVO, there was like a pre-release alpha version available for anyone and everyone to try at the expo, and there was stands everywhere. They were at Cooler Master, Case King. They were absolutely everywhere. This was really cool because a lot of people could sit down and talk to each other because everyone pretty much had hands-on experience with Assetto Corsa EVO. There was multiple cars and tracks you could try, but mainly what I seen was the Porsche Cup at Imola, which was a race-style event, and there was like a road car at Bathurst with like very heavy rain settings. Going into this, it's important to remember that this is like a pre-alpha version of the game. So, everything needs to be taken with like, a large spoon of salt, let's say. But even going into that, like with that mindset, which is the correct mindset to have when you're playing an alpha release game or an alpha pre-release game in this case, it was still very impressive. Like it was very, very, very fleshed out. That was the first thing everyone noticed is like, geez, if it's looking like this now, it's going to be looking good at release. That's the impression. Obviously there's no guarantee of that. Things can go backwards at some points, and there's lots of things you can't see just from doing two particular races, but it is looking kind of good. When I was in Bathurst in the rain just looked incredible. The way the wipers pushed it on the windscreen, there's so much going on. It felt very gritty. It felt very refined, to be honest. The loss of traction on the track was quite difficult to manage because after a while of driving, I found out this is truly a road car. As you can see, some excellent one-handed driving going on here, playing it safe in the 5th and 4th gear range. But it's a really, really cool experience. You can see the hands as well on the dashboard. No race gloves, again, talking more to the whole, road car kind of track day style thing, which is awesome. One thing I found in the rain scenario is that the car was actually quite easy to like catch, if you get me, once you kind of understood it. Usually, like in a simulator, driving in the rain can be quite tricky, and yes, it is extremely tricky in this, I will say, and it can snap you at a few times. But it's very intuitive, and you start to learn what needs to be done, what needs to be not to be done. You know how to drive the car perfectly in these conditions. And in one clip, you'll actually see I had like a major death wobble, which is kind of weird in the sense that, like, yes, it looked completely out of control, but with a bit of practice and a lot more skill than I have, someone would actually be able to save this. Where in some other simulators, once you get into a heavy spin like that, the car's really gone. There's no recovering it. Where in AC Evo, it was kind of like you could have saved the car with the really correct and extreme inputs, and if you could deal with it. Racing in the Porsche though on Imola was absolutely incredible. You start off in a race, lights, bang, and away you go. Again, the first thing noticing is the incredible graphics, the trees, the objects, the detail on the track, the curbs, the way the light interacts with everything is very impressive too. This scenario was kind of like starts in daytime and quickly moves into nighttime. So you start seeing the light bouncing off the track in certain points with a bit of humidity on it. As you come out of the last corner in Imola, you see this real glisten on the track as it goes into the pit lane, because it's super flat there and you kind of have a really big horizon effect, and it's just really, really impressive. As you look at all the other cars, they look absolutely stunning. The interior of the car looks great, but then moving past just the good looking part of this game, the way the Porsche cars felt was really incredible. It's not like Assetto Corsa Competizione in the sense of driving. It's a touch like Assetto Corsa, but it's kind of like so old, that game, that it's hard to compare in the sense that like it drives a lot like iRacing. So like there's a lot of different comparisons for you that don't help you at all. But imagine me saying it's very easy to drive. It's very quick to just jump in and understand what the car wants. The grip, the loss of grip on the front and the loss of grip on the rear, it's very easy to sense. The balance of the car, it's very easy to bring it back. You'll see me doing a few corrections here, and this is in my first minute or two with this simulator, and I'm already doing kind of corrections what this car wants. And this is kind of a tricky car to drive with no ABS or traction control. And really towards the end of this race, I start finding some really, really nice pace. I start understanding what the car wants, what the rig wants, because let's be honest, all these rigs were set up completely different. Some wheels had high force feedback, some had weak force feedback, some had great pedals, some had some budget pedals. There was lots of variety in the hardware and even down to the computers. So I did notice some people were saying there was like stuttering issues, but they knew that was down to the computers because AC Evo was running smoothly on all sorts of other stuff. It was really cool to see a car like this because I've been driving the Porsche Cup in iRacing, and it's such a sensitive, fickle car that I've heard people say that it shouldn't be like that. You know, you should be able to drive this thing a lot heavier onto brake, and there doesn't need to be any trepidation or anything, or like hesitation when getting on the throttle. You know, this car is a pretty planted car. Whereas in iRacing, it has this persona, like, you know, it needs to be driven on the edge of a razor kind of thing, which in this Assetto Corsa EVO, yes, I wasn't driving it so fast to get it to that point, as I wasn't too familiar enough with the car to really have it on the edge. But it really could be thrown around, and that was an awesome experience to feel. And that's a classic Assetto Corsa theme, where you can really overdrive a car, push it past its limit. And the way the simulator is designed is that the car still operates over the limit, and you can bring it back using whatever you want, you know, counter steer, whatever it is. I guess what I'm meaning to say is that it's a little bit of a safer simulator. With all sorts of cool news coming out about Assetto Corsa over the weekend, Assetto Corsa EVO, sorry, you know, such as free roam absolutely confirmed and all this kind of stuff. It's really given us an awful lot to look forward to. And I will say that, you know, testing out this simulator at the expo was really kind of a reassurance that, yes, you know, I'm going to let the hype be real, going to enjoy the hype, and just kind of go with the flow, you know what I mean? And just let it be, you know. Once the simulator comes out, I really think it's going to be something special. I really think it's going to be cool. Is it going to kill iRacing? I'm not too sure. I saw a tweet yesterday. It was actually a very good take on it from Lawrence de Soswa. And he was saying, you know, is AC Evo going to kill this, kill that? Is going to get rid of AC? It's a good point that these simulators can coexist. So it is true in the sense that some things iRacing will give you, some things Assetto Corsa EVO will give you. Let's say Assetto Corsa EVO gives you everything. Some people might still prefer iRacing, and vice versa, you know. So all simulators will coexist with each other. You know, there's some sims that I haven't played before that some people only play on because that's all they like, you know. But anyway, guys, those are my kind of very, very general first impressions. I really wish I had more time on it. I wish I could bring the simulator home, the actual title, and then put it into my simulator so I could tweak the force feedback and extract more info about how FFB works, how I can really, you know, zero in my pedals to work well with the car, and then over time to give a better idea. But I guess, you know, it really is just a taster. I'm really glad to have had the opportunity to try it out, and I really think we're going to be looking at a nice Christmas present, or post-Christmas present, that is, of Assetto Corsa EVO. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video, and like always, I'll see you in the next one.